Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an overpowered Bellanoir nuke build in Palworld's 1.0 update. This pal is insanely strong, it has a very powerful ability that lets it boost up its attacks quite a bit, and you can see here we are absolutely shredding the Moon Lord, and this works on all the towers in their hard mode as well as all the raids. This pal is extremely powerful and I'll be breaking down the best team composition, everything you need to know to get the most out of using this pal. It has some very strong attacks that lets it take care of some of the hardest content in the game very easily, as you see there. This is due to her ability here, the Nightmare Stare. When activated, attacks targeted with the Nightmare Bloom. Whenever this pal uses it, it'll have a 2.5 times damage multiplier. So this is actually interesting because you don't have to have Nightmare Bloom attached. Whenever you have this pal out, you can actually just do the attack at any given time by pressing the F button there, so you can just have them continuously use that ability, and we can get it back even quicker by using the pal Lapure. I'll be going over the best team composition here, but there's a lot of ways to make this pal very strong. With our current setup, we over 10k damage here. And this can be pushed even further to 11k by awakening this pal. Now, what we need for Bellanoir to be putting out this much damage, this is on net regular 1x world settings, but we got our trust maxed out, which is going to give it a bonus to its overall attack there. We get that awakening giving a further boost as well. The enhanced souls giving a plus 60%, passive skills giving a 227% increase. And our passive skills that I'm running with is the Demon God giving a 30% attack boost here, Immortality giving a further 15, Serenity gives a 10%, and it reduces the skill cooldown rate by 30%, and Musclehead giving a further 30%. And we can further stack that up with our very powerful pal Orzurk here, which has a really good partner skill here. Whenever you attack a target with a bullet, it's going to increase the attack and defense of the pal fighting alongside you by 5% for 5 seconds. It stacks up to 30 times. Now, some people have mentioned in multiplayer this does not work properly. There was a patch today. It doesn't show it on the screen that it is working, but it does end up working, and you can test this with a test dummy as well. So I guess you'd have to fight at an enemy and then use the test dummy to see the stats there, but Orzurk is a great, for any pal damage build, this is the way to go. I have Bellanoir out right now, and we're getting that further attack increase. As you see, it went back down here because we don't have it out, but this is because of the pal Celestier Noct, which gives a further 80% attack increase. So you see we went from that 11k down to the 8k there. That's because we have our passive skills there giving a bonus to the attack. We also got a 20% boost from using a Mazzarina cheeseburger. So that is the food of choice for this because it just gives a 20% attack boost. It is really good, but normally you'll have around an 8k there with everything maxed out, 4-star condensed, and having all the IV fruits at max. So yeah, we do get a large boost from that Celestier Noct. But now for the so overall setup here, I like to go with an attack, depending on the boss that we're going against, you can have a variety of different attacks. Dark Wisp is one of the best tracking skills in the game, especially for the Moon Lord. And if you're going against the Moon Lord, you're going to also want to have the Beam Slicer attack or Hydro Slicer. So these can work very well depending on the boss that you're going against. For large bosses, we like to use the Apocalypse skill because this has a multi-hit hitbox here that can hit the target multiple times. So if you're going against like the final boss of the game, you can use this here and it'll be a very solid skill. And actually, if you're doing the final boss of the game, the best trick would be to use Apocalypse, Circle Vine, and Sand Twister. These are all similar attacks that they'll create like a spire in the ground, which will continually keep damaging the boss. And you can basically one-shot it here. And again, you don't need Nightmare Bloom equipped to be able to use it, despite it being a very good skill you should likely have equipped at most times. Its special ability will let you use it regardless, so you don't have to have it equipped. But that's for Bellanoir. Now, for our rest of our team, as mentioned, Orzurk is a great companion to have alongside because it's 150% attack and defense boost. You can easily trigger this by using the drone launcher because when you shoot off those drones, they keep attacking and triggering it. I'm also going to mention the combat SMG is a fast firing weapon that can get you max stacks of that really fast, but just be mindful that this buff only lasts for 5 seconds, so you want to constantly be shooting. Now, we also have Lapure here because Lapure's special skill lets a partner skill cooldowns get reduced by 50%, which is a massive, massive boost. This pal is really just here for that, so you don't have to worry about anything else with that. I also have Hukrates here, which is going to increase the attack of Dark Pals by 30%. You can also go with the Demon Eye for a similar effect to this, but both of these are going to boost up Dark Pals. Dark Pals are some of the best in the game. We also have Celestier Noct. Now, this will reduce the overall health that we have on our pal. This will give an 80% attack boost. The health is not too much of a worry because of our passive Immortality, giving us a 5% lifesteal. This is huge because our damage is boosted up so much that that lifesteal just makes it so that we do not go down. This is a really powerful combination, so I'd recommend going with this particular team setup here. As mentioned though, you can throw on the Demon Eye here, as this is going to increase the attack of Dark Pals by 30%, similar to Hukrates. I'd also recommend throwing on Hoodle here. This one actually has a funny ability, the Void Dweller. So when it's in your party, increase the damage dealt to enemies that are not in combat by 100%. Sometimes it takes a moment for this to actually activate, so you can get a few attacks off with your pal. This is great if you're doing farming because you can easily one-shot everyone with this. Now, if you want to go a different route, you can throw Venusa into your party, which will make your attacks inflict blind. And then you can throw on Rouge, which makes you and your pals do 65% more damage to blinded targets. Blinded targets have a harder time hitting your pal, which is really good. But you can also go with a poison style team and add Prickster to the mix, which will increase your damage dealt to poison type pals by 65%. She can learn some dark skills that will apply poison. It's not super consistent, but you can then also throw on Bakemi, which will increase the defense by 80%. But since we have immortality and high attack, we don't really need that. If you're going against neutral type pals though, Crojiro Noct will increase the critical hit damage by 40% of your dark types to neutral attacks. So this is another good option that you can roll with. And you can throw in a Lylene or Lylene Noct to give yourself that revive. So if you end up knocking your teammate out with Celestia Noct, you can easily just revive it with Lylene or Lylene Noct. And you can remove it Hukothese to make this a little bit better. Now, Nightmare Bloom is the way to go, but you can just use regular Bellanoir if you prefer. It's entirely up to you between the two of these. Now, when we look at our player here, there's a few items that just make a massive difference. So we'll start off with the weapons here. The drone launcher, again, this is the easiest way to activate the Orzhok ability, so I highly recommend having the drone launcher available. Now, you have the boost gun and the mega boost gun. This is really good because it's going to boost up its attack even further. So I'd recommend having this on hand just to further enhance its overall attack power. You don't use this to shoot at your pal, but it's just a really good boost overall because we're trying to do as much damage as possible. As mentioned, the combat SMG is a good way to reliably get Orzhok's passive if you aren't using the drone launcher, or if you are and want to sustain it a little bit more easily because of its fast fire rate and 80 or 50 round magazine. I also really like the beam scatter as a shotgun as a weapon to pair alongside this, as well as the mechanical bow. These two just work really well in tandem, but more so for single target high damage. And if you're playing multiplayer, the bow ends up being better too. And just go with the best obviously available armors here. I also like the wing pack since we aren't running a flyer on the team. This lets us fly and traverse the world a little bit without having any slowdowns. But accessories, we have some really good ones. You can actually, if you have multiple Lord of the Underworld batons, these all increase your pal's attack power by 20%. So you can run 4 batons if you wanted to, but this one's going to increase our pal attack by 20%, as well as give the pal dark damage enhancement, which is going to further boost up its attack. We can also pair this alongside Catrus's ring, which gives neutral damage reduction, not a big deal. It's the pal dark damage enhancement that we're looking at, which you also can get from using the Lylene Noct talisman, which will further increase his defense and give the pal dark damage. And finally, the Dogen emblem, which will give you a 20% attack boost and our pal a 20% attack boost. So we got a really nice boost here. But again, if you're using other types of damage, you can go with the different batons because they all just buff up our pals in general. So there's also the dark support whistle, which is a little bit earlier, but not the optimal route. And as mentioned, use the Mazarina Cheeseburger at 20% attack boost can be very good. And you can see here our attacks are starting to drop off now as things start to expire, but we headed over 11k there with Celestia Noct and the attack boost from that. So you can see it does go quite high, but it just depends on what you have passive as working on your pal. Another attack setup, if you're going to go fight Panthalus, Thunder Rain and Thunderstorm are amazing on her. Now, she can solo anything because the same type attack bonus in this game is only a 20% boost. So that is the same boost you'd be getting from a stinking cheeseburger. So don't worry about type matching. Dark obviously will be her best, but you can roll with different attacks, as I'll show you guys here right now. So you can see here, we're tossing some lightning attacks against Panthalus here now. Not obviously ideal to go, this is like the one pal that it's not an ideal fight for because oftentimes Panthalus is avoiding us, but one single attack there wiped out a ton of its health. So you can see it doing its thing there. We're getting just drowned by the water, but it is just beaming Panthalus to pieces. That was a single attack there, taking over half of its health bar. So you can command it to do the Nightmare Stare. That's what I just did there. He is flying around because he's being a coward. But you can see our Bellanoir is out there doing some work. It is really funny how the tracking works on these things. But yeah, whenever it does end up deciding to do an attack, it is going to hit incredibly hard there. So yeah, that is the thing with these. It is really silly. And Panthalus tracking is horribly bad sometimes. All right, here we go. It is now using its beam attack again, and you see it there. It just does so much damage. It's actually insane how powerful this setup is. And you can toss it out against hard mode versions of the bosses like Hourly and Sholong here, which you can see is already putting in some serious work. We can then activate our skill to get even further damage there. I don't even have to do my thing here. It is just doing a ton of damage on its own. But again, you can stack up the Orzhok damage boost, which is worth doing. Yeah, we already got to second phase. And here we go again with the Nightmare Bloom. Oh, it's going to lightning attack there. Yeah, I like to keep the, obviously elemental matching works really well, but that attack there just absolutely shreds super quickly. So yeah, just took the boss out like that. It's now going through its invincibility phase there, and we got the win. So yeah, Bellanoir Libero is a very strong pal in Palworld's 1.0 update. If you got any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if this was useful, and I hope you guys all have an incredible day.